Fiery, feisty, and bold are just a few words to describe Teeny, the fourth place finisher of Survivor Season 47. They join me now. Teeny, congrats on such an incredible run. How are you feeling now that, the finale's aired and people know how it all ended?
I am feeling such an overwhelming amount of pride and relief. Oh my goodness. Like it has been just like I love Survivor so much. This is a dream come true. It's been so surreal to watch it back, but like to be on the flip side of it where everyone knows what happened, to be able to share my feelings on how it happened is something I've just been waiting and wanting to do for so long. And yeah, just a nice hybrid of pride and extreme relief.
Yeah, hey, very, very well said. So, why don't you kind of describe your strategy to me heading into the game, maybe before filming kind of started?
So if you go back and watch pregame interviews, I said that my strength in the game is going to be my social relationships, my ability to connect with people, to make friends, to make people like me. And my weakness in the game is going to be like really in the weeds technical strategy aspects. And boy, do I think I lived up to those things. Like I think both of them, I think the strategy I couldn't have expected to be, I maybe thought I'd be a little bit better in that aspect. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I really wanted my strategy to just be like myself, which is an extremely social creature who I think can like really make people feel good and want to stay in the game. And I really wanted to find somebody who was a bit of a yin to my yang, which I thought I saw in Keyshawn in the beginning, somebody who had a bit more of a strategic acumen that could balance me. And obviously the cards didn't fold out that way technically, but like in a lot of ways, I did play the way I wanted to. I wanted to play a game where I didn't get any votes to go home, where I was never in danger of going home because of how socially insulated I was, and more or less I did that. So I am proud of that aspect of it. And I do think I played true to how I thought I would, with a lot of a few more valleys than I thought there maybe would be.
Yeah, yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense, I feel like. And, one of the things that stands out to me most, and where I think we see you honestly shine the most, is the fire making, which obviously now we know that you end up losing it. But what I think was so fascinating by it was you took it on, I think, with so much confidence. Even if it was like gained over time, you still seemed very strong going into it. And I think part of that was due to Rachel helping you. And then part of it was, obviously you just had a very strong first half, and then the wind was just, I think, working against you, unfortunately. But I'm curious with that. What did it mean to you to have Rachel kind of help you in the day, knowing that you were kind of worried about it? And then also, walk me through those emotions of actually doing the fire making challenge.
So as far as Rachel helping me, like Rachel, first of all, was such a help to me always. This was not the first time that she like really like saved my life out there. Like when my bag burned, Rachel took the fishing line and sewed up my bag, which like saved everything that I had in the game. It was kind of like, it's a little complicated because it's like she's helping me, which means she wants to sit next to me, which means she thinks she can beat me. So there's those emotions to it. But at that point in the game, I just was like, I am so proud that I've gotten this far. And I have this friend here who I love so dearly, who I am so proud of, who I admire so much, who is going to sit here and like do this with me. And we really did it together. And like she really did help me, and like she really did build me up in that confidence in that part of it. And it's just like when I was doing it, I was excited when I got the fire going. I was happy when it was going my way. But even as it was like crumbling before me and I felt so desperate and so panicked and so scared, I also felt like, well, very evidently, there's nothing more I could have done. There's no way I could have practiced more. There's no way that I could have like known that sitting in this seat was going to put me like, with the wind. And so there was like, again, like just a hybrid of like heartbreak, pride, desperation, and just honestly, I blacked some of it out because it was just that crazy. It was wild.
Yeah, no, I think that makes a lot of sense. And I appreciate hearing all of that because obviously, at the same time, it's kind of like what's meant to be is what's gonna be, right? And so it's like you can't think about all those harboring factors in ways, right? So one of the things I'm most interested to know from you is I think from the editing standpoint, from the viewers at home, it seemed like your gameplay was a little bit messy. And I mean that with a lot of love. But I'm curious, with that being said, what would you say was maybe your biggest game move? Because what I did appreciate hearing you say was if you had won fire making, you really felt like you had a really strong chance at winning. So I'm curious, what would you say was your biggest game move?
So I think overall, like it can't be classified as a move, but it really was just like the insulation and the social relationships that I made. But I will say that like although I didn't write her name down at the end, which was intentional and like a part of a different like self-preservation strategy, getting Genevieve to tell me that her idol was fake was massive. Before I had that conversation with her, Sue and Rachel were way too skeptical and hesitant to want to put her name down, because they really didn't believe Sam and thought it was a ruse. And so it's a testament to my relationship with her and to my ability to like break through. I think that got her to just flat out tell me that it was fake. Of course, there was confusion and paranoia about it, but it was ultimately me who said to Sue and Rachel, like, I want you two to put your votes on Genevieve because like I do believe that it is fake. And they did that because I said that that's what I wanted to do. And had I said, okay, let's just all pile on Sam, like we all would have piled on Sam. And so I think that was big, and that's something that the jury was aware of. Genevieve was aware of this as well. So I think that was big. And I put my vote on Sam just in case, but that was an intentional self-preservation choice for me because I knew that Sue and Rachel were voting for Genevieve.
Okay. No, I think that makes a lot of that. Yeah, that's super interesting. Actually, I really enjoy hearing that because I will say, as a viewer, and I think a lot of you probably saw this on social media too. A lot of people were like, "Why did she vote for Sam at in that last vote before fire making instead of just voting out Genevieve?" So it's nice hearing kind of that your side of it, if you will. Um, okay, one of the most powerful things I think we saw from you all season was these very raw and vulnerable moments you have talking about identity and representation, right? So why was it important for you to really kind of delve into this on the show and bring light to it?
So going into the experience, I had no expectations or plans or goals in terms of talking about it. It really was just a snapshot of in those moments, like those were actively the things that I was grappling with. I was unable to turn it off. It was presented to me in so many different ways, and I was just so embroiled in my own like journey with my gender identity and how I fit into the game. And it was something that felt like impossible not to speak to. And I'm so grateful that they included it because it's meant so much to be able to like resonate with a group of people. I think like I was nervous and I had anxieties because I was and still am in like a very transitional point of figuring it all out. And I thought that maybe people would prefer me to have like a hard and fast statement or label about who I am and what I am. But it's been so beautiful to see people relate to the figuring out of it all. And it's a part of the survivor experience that I never could have expected, like being this representation, like having this self growth, having these discoveries out there. It's just so beyond me, and it's been a wonderful part of it.
Yeah. Well, again, thank you for sharing everything that you shared because it was super powerful to even watch at home and just, have you be so open about it. Now, with that, though, I'm curious. I feel like your castmates were very open and understanding and accepting of you on a human level. But do you feel like you were misunderstood as a player in the game at all?
Yes and no.
Okay.
I don't know. I think that's honestly something I'm still processing actually, is like what the perception was of me, because I actually do think I have a lot of respect from the players in the game, and I think I wouldn't have been a no vote finalist. I think I would have gotten votes in the final three. I don't think I would have won, but I also do think that like because I was so open, saying at tribal councils that I was left out of things, that there of course were they had the awareness that like things didn't go my way and that I was like very emotional. And so it's it's like in some ways I think honestly as human beings these people know me better than anyone because they saw me in my rawest truest form. And I think it becomes complicated when I have to process like even for myself processing me as a player. I think I have conflicting feelings about my gameplay. So I think everyone can kind of say good things, but then also say, the bad things. So I think it two things can be true at once kind of thing.
Yeah, no, I that makes a lot of sense. Yes, two things can be true at once. And I like that you're still like kind of deep diving on your own, right? And kind of like taking it all in because I think that's important. I mean, you're going through this very mentally rigorous process out there. With that, though, I want to take it one step further. I know you're still processing things and it's very conflicting feelings, but is there anything now that you think that you would maybe change about your game that maybe would have improved it or made it better in a sense at all?
Yeah, there's totally it's not something that I think I in that game physically could have changed, but like if ever I were to do it again or just when I think back to it, like it is just it is just having more emotional regulation. And I think it was an outcome of, it was a result of things not going my way in the game. It was a result of like the inner conflicts I was experiencing. It was a result of like being starving on an island. But I do think that I wish I had an ability to kind of pause, zoom out, look at the game board, and like assess things. I think I played very like presently and tapped into my emotions, and I could have been a bit more forward thinking. And those are things that I would really want to challenge myself to do, like just really like tune up that strategic side of myself, and tone down the emotions while still being true to myself. That's something I would change.
Yeah, no, I think that's really powerful. And I think a lot of people relate to that, right? I think there's a lot of situations in life that we feel that way in a sense. So I'm curious to know, and I kind of feel like I know what you're going to say in a sense, but I still want to hear it from you. So Rachel obviously won, and you were one of the many votes that went to her. Why'd you choose to vote for her, given, she was an almost unanimous winner?
I mean, Rachel is the best winner of Survivor 47 that there could be. I mean, the journey that she went on, the underdog story, the immunity challenge record like placing, the idol play, all of it in culmination, and also just who she is as a human being, someone who I just love, who has so much heart. Like all of those things felt impossible not to reward. And so that is ultimately why I voted for her.
Yeah. Okay. No, that makes a lot. I mean, like I said, I kind of knew where you were going to go with that. I just wanted to hear. I'm always curious how people voted and why. So, Teeny, let's say Jeff calls you up and is like, hey, come back. What's your answer?
You can't say no. I would say yes, of course. And I would be really, really excited to challenge myself to do it differently this time for me. And I mean, this Survivor is like a great love of my life. I would do it every time.
Do it every time. I like that. Well, and like we've been kind of reflecting on here, now you know what you would do different completely. So I think you would come back much stronger, and it would be really interesting to see how you would fare the next time around. So, Teeny, thank you for answering all my very in-depth questions today. Congrats on such a successful run this season. We hope to see you again in the future. Take care.